Could I actually?
My style is on.
Do you hate my style?
I don't hate anything that you do. I'm trying to get you to develop better as a writer. It's just, I appreciate the need to write up a lab, right? Okay? I want you to be able to not just
Explain the thing.
No, hold on, just let me finish my thought. In all writing, okay, it doesn't matter what, actually let me back up before I finish that thought, that would be the punchline. So, if I didn't tell you, maybe you don't remember at the beginning of the semester, I gave you I was talking about the first writing assignment, and the fact of the matter is, the only alternative to being understood is being misunderstood, right? But the other part about writing is good writing, you can convince people of anything, right? Even if
Or just with a gun.
Good writing
and a
can
threat
convince
with a
people
really
of
good
anything.
threat.
Even
So
if
can a really
lots
good
of other
threat.
things are not very good.
I just said so can a really good threat.
And it turns out that bad writing, no matter how good your research, bad writing is the kind of thing and people are like, well, why should I listen to this person? So the fact of the matter is this. Anything dealing with writing, the best metaphors win. Always.
Metaphorically or literally?
Literally, the best metaphors win.
I don't have.
And what I'm asking you to do is not really about metaphors, although that ultimately is part of it if we really get into the deep analysis. But writing style is about finding, showing a command of the language that people are not like turned off by what it is you're presenting. And I need to get you to go from where you are now to a point where people are impressed by what it is they're reading. Okay, so do you remember I was telling you last week where we're going next with this, and I said that no, I can't right now. No. No. Stop asking. So I told you that we needed to focus the class a little bit because we got up to the 1930s, and there's a whole lot of time to go. And the first time that we did this 4 semesters ago, we were trying to cram way too much information into a short period of time, and that wasn't going to work. So then I adjusted the class again, and I came up with a focusing question, and then kind of gave a little bit of information, and the problem was that there was still too much. And so we're focusing it yet further, and I started the conversation last week talking about trains and cars. Yes?
Is there a cumulative final?
There is a sort of cumulative final. So Skinner and I were talking about this morning. I want to balance out the Constitution, which was 5% of your grade, and I told you that there would be a final. And I gave you a pretest at the beginning of the semester. So the pretest will be part of that final grade. However, Skinner and I also recognized that there was one little error that we made, which is that some of the stuff that's late in the pretest is stuff that we're now actually taking out in order to focus the end of the class. So the stuff that deals with later things we have to remove. So the pretest will only count the stuff that's pertinent in terms of score. You have a paper due, so don't panic about this yet, but there will be 2 other components to that final assessment. One is how a bill becomes a law, which is in will, and that's there. I didn't assign it yet, but it's in there, so that will be part of it. And then the other part will be basically this last section of the class where we're talking about this main stuff. So those 3 things. There's going to be a small cumulative section. There's going to be a how a bill becomes a law, and then there's going to be something over the stuff that we're talking about right now. The study guide is actually in Moodle already. Okay, but again, you're working on your paper, so I didn't tell you about this yet.
Who hides stuff from people? That's not a healthy
So
relationship.
let me, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to have this side of the class tell me how much the federal government spends on how would I put this? On the transportation, dealing with like the highway system. Okay? Highways, bridges, and so on. I want to know. Yes, federal government.
Didn't they stop the war on these?
Huh?
They stopped these.
Billions of dollars a year. That's specific.
They stopped these roads like years or something. And then they started.
I just want to know dollar amount.
460 billion.
This, no, hold on. This side of the class, you're doing something different. This side of the class, I want to know how much, again, the federal government, not the states, but the federal government is spending on railroads.
146 billion. Oh no, wait, that was in 2007.
Yeah.
Is this for president?
Yes.
About in 2014. Oh.
320 billion?
Is that right?
I highly doubt it for the entire country.
Oh, it says, never mind. That was a bit more specific. Don't say so.
416 billion?
I highly doubt it if that's for the whole country.
$165 billion. Yeah,
Specifically,
165.
on this track it says like 4 or something.
This one says 165 billion for highways, bridges, and tunnels. Yeah, I think that's it. What?
Excuse me. Oh, it looked like something else. So. And anyway, it's French. It's not what I thought it was.
What do you think it was?
I'll tell you later.
It's a secret.
I found 165 billion.
This one says 30 billion. Which side are we? I forget.
This one is for 2014.
Hold on. This one's for the last 30 years. Let me see if I can find this.
But it fluctuates so much in the last 30 years. Why?
That's the challenge.
The congressional budget.
I keep finding different numbers.
Again, I should get a number that tells me specifically federal funding. So if you see something that says like public expenditures, usually that's going to include federal and state. I just want federal number.
So federal spending on highways.
Yes. You're working on this side, I'm just working on trains. Yes, the most recent number you can get.
This one says 78 billion.
For what?
Highways, airports, air traffic control, urban transit, passenger rail, and other activities.
Oh no, that includes
Why
train
does
stuff.
why does everyone have the same website?
Because this is the only one that's consistent.
Is it 165 billion?
Like, I can go to Wikipedia. If that's what I prefer.
Is it 165 billion?
What's the correct?
No.
I can give it to you in rubles.
In what?
Rubles? Wikipedia will give it to you in rubles.
That's just federal grant.
Would you like it in rubles?
How about rupees? Oh wait, you play that game? Fun fact, that's also an actual currency.
I figured.
Da-na-na-na. Oh, this one says 305 billion.
Can we just agree on that?
President Obama signed it into a law, 5-year, 305 billion highway bill.
Highway bill.
New law, 70 billion, federal budget, other areas. Is it 205 billion?
13 billion just for Amtrak.
No, we're not doing trains. They're doing trains. We have to do not trains. Is it 205 billion? Why can't you just tell us?
This one says 96 billion. We're behind all of the other classes.
Yeah, I know. They could just Students, what kind of answers are you coming up with? Okay, that's wrong.
256 billion.
No. Wait.
48%.
It was 1 billion.
48 cents.
So did the pie chart.
Was it 1,385,000,000?
Is that for trains?
Yeah.
That seems actually kind of low, but you said it's 1.1 billion?
This one says 10 billion.
Okay.
256?
10 billion
205
for highways.
1.6?
billion?
I could divide it in the middle just for the moment. Say it was closer to like 1.5. Cars. Highway.
$10.77.
That's your Woodman's bill. Don't give me that.
205 billion.
205?
10 billion.
Why are the numbers off so much? You're just like throwing numbers out.
They're all different. Every website says something different.
How is that possible?
I don't know. Because nobody minds rounding up to 10 billion.
2013 or 2003, I'm not sure.
It's not $120 million. $120 million.
Do it for 3 months.
Why does everyone why can nobody agree on this?
Because every website says something
In
different.
different years.
I don't care about the judges on Shark Tank.
Is it because, like, we don't know?
I mean, it is fascinating that nobody seems to actually know, like, what it actually is. But one of the things that you should see is that this number is significantly smaller than this number.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to do something else right now. Hold on, we're just going to change up for a second, as long as you are all poking around on the internet, and before we get too far off course. What? It doesn't matter. We'll do it like this.
A lot.
Okay, done.
Cars greater than plus.
And then greater than triple silver wall.
Definitely not equal.
Is it significantly greater than? Can we put the?
We did that.
Sure, we can say
Jacqueline.
that. Anyway.
Minus train or just
That's plus range.
Isn't it where you put like the 2 carats though? If it's like really big.
I want you to look at a Google map of Los Angeles.
Okay.
Well, that
Los Angeles
changed.
City.
That's where Richard Feynman died.
Or the country.
That's where Zay Frank lives.
I see my house.
I think there's some Cicada 301 stuff there too.
October, could you tell me, how long would it take me to get from Los Angeles Airport to Caltech?
With traffic.
3 hours.
It's mostly crowded.
49 minutes. Let's not confuse the smog with the clouds.
Yeah,
Oh.
most of the smog burns out.
Do you have a burn? About an hour.
If you are
I am pain.
You were just
Koreatown? What?
Korea.
hold on, go back to the
How come we don't have a Koreatown?
your map.
It's gonna blow up soon. They're gonna fire each other.
I'm Korean.
Never end.
There.
Why are you offended by this?
I don't know which one.
Catherine, can you take
Dun,
control?
dun, 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 dun,
No,
dun.
but okay, and now you're going to do a search for,
It's 51.
I want the airport to the campus.
49 minutes. Wait, with or without traffic?
I kind of want to live in Bel Air.
They have a Koreatown.
Okay, now,
It didn't say without traffic. Technology has come so far.
okay, there you go.
I think it costs.
All right.
Marina Del Rey? That sounds like a person.
Let me start with my story first, and then
Marina,
you should be
that's like
looking at a map of
corporate.
Los Angeles, and make sure that you're looking at all of the various highways that stretch around there. So, I was in Los Angeles a few years ago. I was there on Christmas Eve. I was there actually before that, but I was
Did it
driving
snow?
out of Los Angeles on Christmas Eve. There was no snow there on Christmas Eve. That's why everyone's living there. Anyway, so I'm driving from Los Angeles Airport to Pasadena, which is 30 miles, 28.3 according to this map. It's about 30 miles. It took me 3 hours. Okay? The traffic was just stopped.
You should have rode a
the
motorcycle.
whole way.
You can share lanes.
Well, it turns out that they, in fact, had, of course, the lane for people sharing rides and doing carpool. And
Just bring like a blow-up doll.
that line,
Like,
that line, Josh, that lane of the highway was moving just as slowly as the one that I was in.
oh wow.
There was no speed at all anywhere to be found.
Who died?
This was the most miserable driving experience of my entire life.
What's the velocity?
It wasn't even. It wasn't even as. It was much worse than even being on the Jersey Turnpike.
What were you driving? You're on the turnpike?
The Jersey Turnpike.
That's crazy.
That's the one that takes you out of New York City into New Jersey.
Sorry about that.
Probably because First Racing and everything revolves around New Jersey.
Yeah.
If you look in Los Angeles, what do you notice when you look at a map and you look at the highways?
It is really yellow and orange.
They have Koreatown
It's really
and a Chinatown right next to it.
It's slow.
There are a whole lot of them. Yep, there are a whole lot of them. In fact, the Los Angeles solution to traffic is to build more highways. So let me ask you this question. So we have these lanes for carpooling. How many people actually carpool in the United States?
Not many. Like,
My dad goes to school.
No, this is actually a really quick one research.
maybe like 10%.
How many?
Like 10%, maybe.
Why do you say that?
Because most people have their own car.
They don't have enough.
Yeah, no.
Yep, Josh was right.
Oh my god.
That's never gonna happen again.
So we have a country with over 330 million people, about 2 cars per family, and there are only 10% of the people are actually commuting, like together. 90% of the people are driving their own car. Where do they want to go? And of course, that's the reason it takes me 3 hours to go 30 miles.
My mom takes
She commutes by plane.
Every day, all day.
We interviewed a guy here for a job some years ago who was going to be one of our teachers, and he was commuting from Chicago to New Orleans.
Every day?
My mom goes.
I don't know how he did it, but he was a professor down at the University of New Orleans, and he was trying to come back to Chicago because that's where his actual address was and is where his wife lived.
Magic carpet. Pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, but apparently, yeah, I don't know how fast those things were, and there aren't any.
I write you wrong.
Michael.
No, it wasn't Dr. Skinner.
Was it you?
It wasn't me either.
Was it Dr. Payne?
No, he didn't get hired.
Why?
Why?
For different
Wait, was
reasons.
he?
Did he run around?
No. What? No, he did not run around the store. Anyway,
He's
that's
still in New Orleans.
but at least it was by train.
Oh, that sucks even more.
Oh my god.
The bad word.
So here's the other thing about all these cars. Just in the United States, how much CO2 do our cars put into the atmosphere?
Too much.
I'm a really good guesser.
If you have actually committed that to memory, I would be astonished.
No, I have no idea what balls, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Pollution, yes.
I don't remember.
I tend to have that suffocating effect on people.
It's the amount of
That suffocating cancerous effect.
the amount of molecules.
What did you say? Did you give me an answer?
Well, this is really bad.
Wait, it doesn't actually
But it was 16.39.
measure.
Oh my god.
16.39.
Okay, that's I'm okay with that figure. So 16.39 metric tons, and
It's 20 pounds.
that's how much? That's for
For you.
that's a total. So how much is that per car?
4.7.
You need to know how many cars there are, and then you need to do the division.
So this one says that per year each vehicle emits 4.7 metric tons. So I think that's wrong.
That has to be totally wrong then.
This or that? I think that's
Well,
wrong.
if that figure is accurate, then there's no way this is, because that
I
would mean
think
we
that-
only have 4 cars in the United States.
Yeah.
And I would have to say, I'm sorry, I think you've just described East Germany.
Because it's 50 pounds.
In 1945, probably 4.
It's 58 pounds per gallon.
You're right. In East Germany, they only had trucks.
They only have what?
Trucks.
The only two people who have a car in that one state is
We do it really big.
Oh, it says for each person.
Yeah, see?
This is per person?
If anyone cares,
Okay,
it was
this doesn't have me down.
34,000
I want to
watts.
know about cars.
No way. 334,000.
So I've got like one car and it's about 4.7 metric tons. CO2 per year.
And how many cars are there in the United States?
Too many.
How many? How many?
53.6.
For a total of how much?
Those are passenger vehicles, though. So
Yeah.
that doesn't count semis.
That's fine. We're just talking about passengers.
Semis are gas guzzlers. You can add about another 50.
38.92
Million metric tons, right? That's a lot.
But how much area is there in the US? You have to go by that. Now you have to go by how much area is there, and then see by how much percentage.
Why would we want to do that?
So then you can find out how much it's the concentration.
The molarity.
The molarity. You want to find the molarity.
We're not interested in that. Because if
5
we were to do
million
the same
moles.
calculation for trains,
I was above average.
we're just putting it in terms of per person, and that calculation is completely irrelevant to getting us into similar measurements.
Yeah, it's about 5
You
million
know,
moles.
I'm sorry, but you're being a little.
I know.
No. No. Why? Jacqueline, why? I need some recovery time. Can I take a stress mod?
Basically, that's what I do.
What are you trying to get?
So hold on a second. So we know that we spend way more money on this. I have another thing for you to look up. I want you to look for the Minneapolis bridge collapse.
What about the one at Atlanta?
I'm not interested in Atlanta right now. I'm asking you about the one in Minneapolis. You can actually, if you put MPLS,
Can't throw yourself off that bridge now. Long version. Oh, there's a video of it. Security tape video.
See the
Wow.
there's a video.
Oh wow,
That's not good.
that looks like bad.
I'm never going on a bridge again. Oh, that was from 2007?
Yes.
Oh, Dr. Smith. Look at this.
What? That's very funny.
Wait, the first comment on the video is by Interstate 35. Oh, look, there's a woman. So wait, were there actually people
So
on it?
here's my next question.
Oh, here's from a different perspective. Okay.
How did that happen?
Freaking engineers. Everybody knows engineers are inferior. Probably.
This is what you have to do to force a big Scully does the two.
What's that? Okay, but I want you to tell me about the 2001 report on the group of civil engineers who looked at this.
Sad.
Yeah, okay, so there's this report from 2001. What did they say in 2001? The bridge was built in 1967, and in 2001 they said, go ahead.
That there were preliminary signs of fatigue on the steel truss section.
Right.
But no cracking.
There wasn't any cracking at that moment, but they knew that there were some issues. And so what does that mean if there are problems? It should be. Yeah, you should probably make some kind of arrangement to fix this, because obviously then in the long term it's going to be some issue. And it turns out the long term was 6 years later. When it collapsed, it set off a mad scramble. People started talking about infrastructure. Last year during the election, both of the presidential candidates were talking about infrastructure. This was one of the few things that they both agreed on, that there is a need for infrastructure. Now we can talk about what that means momentarily, but let me ask you another question out of chemistry. what happens to water when it gets cold?
It freezes.
Depends how cold.
Okay, expands is the more scientific answer.
So it got in the cracks and expanded and then broke the bridge.
Where would you get the most kind of like ice in the United States?
In a water.
Alaska.
In
Minneapolis.
northern states.
Yeah.
It's not just Alaska. The coldest place in the lower 48 states happens to be in Minnesota, the same state where this creek comes from.
Canada.
And well, you know, plenty of people in Minnesota consider themselves Canadian anyway, but they even have the accent. They
Ew.
even have the accent, so that's the
They get
problem.
upset. No, they talk like.
I love Minnesota. I love Minnesota. Minnesota is amazing. The only issue with Minnesota is the people there. I mean,
Keep them all out.
people are there.
They're all distant relatives.
Dad's from Minnesota.
So the quality of the physical property of water is to expand when it gets cold. And it gets really cold in these northern states. And those northern states, which have, among other things, bridges and highways, means that their highways get beat up much quicker and much more dramatically than they would, say, if they were somewhere. You know, if you're in the desert and you build a highway, how much moisture are you getting?
Not much.
Not nearly as much. Although I was surprised one year, a different year, not the one I went to Los Angeles, a different year when I was headed to Death Valley, and it was like below freezing.
Probably because it was at
Death
night.
Valley. It's 130 degrees in the summer, and you're telling me it's freezing?
Because it was at night.
Yeah.
Like cold?
Yes, like cold, as in, again, below the freezing point. Turns out it gets
Cold at night.
What is that in Kelvin?
I spaced out. You come to the
This practice is left as an exercise to the reader.
Let me just ask you again this question. So, especially in the northern states, where obviously you need to be updating your highways more regularly, and you have a whole lot of cars, how much money are we talking about?
At least $2.
At least 7.
There you go. At least $2.
At least
That is not an untrue statement. It's completely inaccurate and at the same time not untrue.
That's what I'm good at. You heard my essays.
So I have a question. So let me follow it up with this question. Why then should it be so difficult to see the need to address this problem? I mean, think about the trains. How are the trains powered?
steam.
Steam
And
labor.
coal.
Now?
Or electricity.
The fuel is converted to electricity, which
So it depends. So if you take the actually all three lines, the west line out here, the one out of Aurora, those trains are not powered by electricity. They're powered by what?
generated.
Giant diesel engines.
Gas.
But if you took the South Shore line from Chicago and went into Indiana, it would be electric. Okay, but hold on a second before we go too much further with that. Electricity in this state is generated how?
Wind farms.
Hamsters.
Okay, all of that. Power plants, yes, you need power plants to make electricity. And what is the source of the electricity?
Smokestacks.
Okay, you're getting a little too small in your scientific assessment here. Yes, electrons. Coal and
The outlet.
Hamsters.
so the coal industry is actually in trouble because a lot of companies are in fact moving to natural gas in order to produce their energy. And they're doing that because natural gas is pretty cheap, and there's a whole lot of it, and the emissions are not nearly as bad. And also nuclear power. Illinois is like the nuclear capital of the United States, actually, because we built far more electrical power, nuclear power plants than we actually needed. If for instance you're in California, the state that gives us the 3-hour commute over 30 miles, about 30% of their electricity is already from renewable energy. In Illinois, it's a fraction of that, it's less than 5%. So if you're on the South Shore line, you might be using nuclear power, but you're just as likely to be using coal or natural gas that's generating the electricity that you're actually using. So just being electric isn't necessarily enough. Although the fact is that even the diesel trains, when you're looking at the total number of people, it's going to be less total emissions than if they were all driving their own cars. So we know that in terms of efficiency, it's much higher. So that's. But you also determined last week that certain forces were at work in driving the trains nearly out of existence. And they also determined that in order to update those roads all the time, we need to have money because it's expensive. You need to maintain those roads. California's solution to traffic? More roads. And as the population increases, more roads. And then there's the issue of infrastructure, which I just brought up. Why was everyone talking about infrastructure? What did that mean? Go ahead. Search engine. Yes.
Do we not use steam on railroads anymore?
I don't know anyone that's using it unless except maybe like the little Silverton train out in Durango, Colorado.
Wait, what is steam? My family has steam engines.
You know what?
My family has steam engines.
Steam engines. What do you mean?
Like,
What do you mean your family? I mean, okay, there's two ways I can go here. Either you are actually related to Thomas the Train,
You're very useful.
or your father works for the Union Pacific, or
I
you're
don't
talking
know.
about model trains. What do you mean my family has trains?
not trains, like steam engines that don't run on trains, or that don't run on railroads.
What?
I was even more confused.
Now I'm even more baffled. Yes.
I own B&R and Reading Railroad.
It's B&O. Baltimore and Ohio.
Oh. I think he owns it by you.
Yeah, I have no idea. Okay. All right. So, hold on, what was the question I just asked you? Oh, yes, so what is infrastructure? So, did any of you live along Interstate 90?
Maybe?
No, Interstate 90. Okay, Interstate 90 just underwent this huge, massive reconstruction project. And as they pointed out in the signage along this along that route, from Wisconsin to the O'Hare Airport, they rebuilt, actually going into the city too, because they did it in different segments. So from the border of Wisconsin all the way into the city of Chicago, they reconstructed Interstate 90 because it was built when Eisenhower built the interstate highway system. Okay? And more than 50 years later, the road was no longer what it used to be. You have a concrete base, concrete can withstand the elements much better than asphalt, but you still have to replace asphalt, so you put concrete base. You use that for a while. When it starts to wear, you put some asphalt on it, and then eventually the asphalt starts to wear, you tear it off, put some more asphalt. You can do that a few times before the concrete really isn't going to work anymore, and you have to tear the whole thing up, which is what they did. So they rebuilt this really long stretch of the interstate. That's infrastructure. That's the maintenance. Once you build your highway system, there's going to come a point where you have to replace the whole thing, mile for mile. And the states don't have the money to do that. There's just one other additional little problem is, what happens if nobody wants to pay for it?
It doesn't happen.
The bridge collapses in Minneapolis.
Wait, nobody pays for the thing. I thought the bridge collapsed in Minneapolis.
If nobody wants to pay for infrastructure rebuilding, you end up with the kind of situation you ended up with on I-35 West, which is the bridge collapse. Or you end up with such a terrible highway, there are so many potholes that nobody wants to drive on it, or people are popping out their tires. So all of this stuff costs money. Now, okay, the trains have to maintain their infrastructure too. But they also fell on hard times, which is itself a problem. So if we wanted to actually build them up again, we have two problems. One, we have the infrastructure that already exists, which needs to be updated, which is the highway. And we're committing to building more trains at the same time. Because I don't think that there's any way that we're just going to get to one over the other and somehow expect that people will make the transition. That's not how American politics works. Jimmy Carter gives this speech during the energy crisis, the one I mentioned to you last week. There's a serious energy crisis, and Jimmy Carter comes on, and he's wearing this cardigan sweater, and he tells everyone, the cardigan sweater, he tells everyone that what they need to do is to turn down the thermostats and put on a sweater. It's like a big V and it buttons on the bottom, so you can kind of button.
Or wear something under that,
or Kurt Cobain. And so he comes on at the television and says, "Put on a sweater, suck it up, turn down the thermostat." If you're the president of the United States, do Americans want to be told that they should sacrifice?
Yeah.
Not if you want to be reelected, especially if there isn't a war going on.
Hey, he's a one-term one.
He was a one-term president, but there was no wonder involved.
Did he go down in history as a president?
If you really wanted to be reelected, he could do a bunch of things differently. Among them was to offer some kind of plan saying, "I'm going to do this," not, "Oh, you all need to suck it up and put on a sweater." It doesn't matter that that's probably true. It doesn't matter that Americans are very wasteful. 90% of us don't even commute in carpool. And we put 238.92 million metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere every year. Right? And nobody wants to be told that they need to make a sacrifice. Okay? Even though we should. Right? The fact is, we should make some sacrifices. If we're planning to make it out of the 21st century and we care about our progeny being out of the 21st century. Especially if we live in the state of Florida and want to stay in the state of Florida. Yeah, those of you who go to the University of Miami, for example, if you want to go to a class reunion when you're really old, chances are you should go to a university in a different state.
No, you have to, do the master's in Australia or something.
There it is, because then the reunion will be held underwater.
Yeah.
Why isn't this attached?
That would hold you upside down.
Thomas, we'll insert that as part of the infrastructure funding, is to get to get whole of Florida. No,
I've seen up.
no. You know what? What we need, what we need is for everyone in Florida to become Buddhists, and they do their chants, and they'll levitate the whole state.
Wait, I have a question.
I-
What if everyone on the world jumps at the same time? Absolutely not. Do we like, wait, why would I saw it on Esau?
Why would I?
We could fit the entire human population in the city last night.
Yep.
Next question.
What if all the same time? What if we all go to Las Vegas?
That would be. I would send a video.
Next question.
I personally don't have a next question today. I will when you come back on Wednesday.
What is it?
We got him planned for action.
Tomorrow.
Essays are.
Oh, wait.
My mother's was.
Did you spend time with your family?
I did. I spent most of my. I spent most of my weekend doing hard labor.
Yeah.
So perhaps that meant that my wife had a really good Mother's Day.
Yeah. That's good. What hard labor?
Yeah, the mowing the lawn was actually the least rigorous of what I did.
Thanksgiving.
First and last.